major refugee crisis that's happening in Cameroon right now. It's spilling over out of the Central African Republic. That's what I'm going to talk about.
And, you know, just
NPR
sordid tale that occurred in not only that townhouse in Manhattan, but in...
Okay, fascinating stuff there, NPR. So, what do we got now with the Central African Republic? So you got this apocalyptic situation in the Central African Republic, and they're fucking killing everybody. It's crazy. It's this war crimes dictator. The election just happened in December, and it's the fallout from the election. You got the Russian troops, you got the United Nations troops, and you got Rwandan troops. The Rwanda troops. I feel like, I'm not sure about the United Nations. I don't know about Russia, but Rwanda, I trust Rwanda. I trust the Rwandan troops. So the Rwandan troops are in the Central African Republic right now, and they are after the rebels. They said, here's the president, he was legitimately elected, and they're trying to quash the rebels. And that's a little bit about what's happening in the Central African Republic. You've had, since all that, you know, turmoil and violence and craziness in the African Republic, 200,000 of the Central Africans have fled. 200,000. So this is becoming a major refugee crisis. You have the violence. People are saying it's an apocalyptic situation. This is all because of the December election result. That sounds absolutely crazy, but that's how people love their dictators. They love their strongmen. Even after the strongman has stepped down, he comes back and says he wants to get power again, and then people go crazy. Napoleon marched into France to cheers after they had thrown him into prison. So, 200,000 refugees coming out of Central African Republic. Half of those have gone into the Democratic Republic of Congo. So, that doesn't, you know, this has to do with Cameroon, right? How many have gone into Cameroon? 5,000. You've had 5,000 Central African refugees that have gone into Cameroon. They've gone into Cameroon, and this is, you know, Cameroon is being run by the totalitarian dictator Paul Biya. Paul Biya killed all of his opposition leaders and rivals in 1983, and he's been in power for 40 years ever since then. So, you know, there you go. There's a lesson in power. Just be a Paul Biya. Why have a legitimate election? And then he's been having fake elections after fake elections. So he pretends it's a democracy. France is his buddy. He goes to France and Switzerland, spends lavish amounts of money for, you know, 500 hotel rooms, just, you know, living it up in Switzerland, doing something with the people's money of Cameroon. Cameroon is poor. It's one of the richest countries in minerals, just like all African nations are. It's one of the poorest countries in the world, just like all African nations are. So Cameroon, 15% of Cameroonians are Muslim and 50% are Christian. So Paul Biya, just, I don't know, maybe you might be able to relate to half of the damn nation being Christians. So France 24 was there on the scene, so, you know, France is the occupiers. This could turn into another Vietnam if we stick by Paul Biya's. Okay, so Paul Biya has been going around killing the English-speaking separatists. So you have French speakers and English speakers in Cameroon, and Paul Biya don't give a fuck if you speak English. If you're an English speaker, he's like, how come you don't speak French? And he's a racist against the people who speak English. He killed 10 people just 20 days ago, January 10th, in Matau. So he killed 10 people. He's been cracked 500 arrests. He's made 500 arrests because there's a resistance movement against him, including political opposition leaders. So basically, Paul Biya is just like Russia. Russia's in this shit, doing the same shit over here. I don't know. They're in Central Africa Republic. The United States is in Cameroon. Okay, so what does any of this mean? Well, this means that there's a untenable security situation there at the border. Cameroon and Central African Republic have a substantial border, and right there on the border between Cameroon and the Central African Republic, that's where a major route in between the capital of Central African Republic, CAR, they say C-A-R, but I like calling it Central Africans. The capital is Bangui, Bangui. So there's a major route between Bangui and the East Cameroonian border. So this isn't just a tiny thing. The East Cameroonian border is right there next to the capital, the central, right? The centralized state where the state of Cameroon centralizes or the state of CAR centralizes in Bangui, and Cameroon is right next to Bangui. So, why is all this happening? I explained a little bit about it in the last video with the bus crash, because Cameroon's got poor conditions. They just have people crashing all the time, killing 53 people were killed yesterday, 37 people were killed in a crash a month ago. It's just crazy shit, Central African Republic, next door neighbor to Cameroon. They have uranium, cobalt, hydroelectric power, arable land, lumber, gold, diamonds, crude oil, and uranium. How in the hell the Central African Republic is one of the richest nations in the world. All that gold, diamonds, oil, cobalt, lumber, hydroelectric power, arable land, uranium. So just like Cameroon, in terms of minerals, one of the richest countries in the world, but in terms of population, one of the poorest. There's 5 million people in Central African Republic. It's the same size of Colorado's population. So just imagine Colorado is over there in the Central African Republic, and you got this, they say it's an apocalypse because of the December 2020 election. So the December 2020 election decided that it was one guy, not the other guy. The other guy is all pissed off. He's a war criminal, dictating, low-life piece of shit, trying to come back onto the scene. And the United Nations and Russia and Rwanda, the troops of the United Nations, Russia, and Rwanda are there to save the people of the Central African Republic. That does give them more legitimacy. They're fighting against the rebels of who they say is the legitimately elected leader, the legitimately elected president, against a motherfucker who just is a military war crime strong man. He's a Donald Trump. He just wants to cry fraud until eventually he gets his way, even though he lost the goddamn election. He lost the election. So 200,000 people have already fled the Central African Republic. 5,000 go into Cameroon. Half are gone. Half of the 200,000 to 100,000 have gone into the Democratic Republic of the Congo. Since the December 2020 election, you have the United Nations, the Russians, and the Rwandans fighting the strongman, the dictators. So, I think Cameroon should pay attention very closely to what's going on in the Central African Republic. At the very least, if not because you care about other people's, nations, just give a damn about your own. Paul Biya right now, he's got English-killing government troops who are patrolling the border of Cameroon and the Central African Republic. So, am I supposed to trust that Paul Biya is on the right side of this situation? I don't trust that at all. The locals are scared of the situation. France 24 is there, so none of that bodes well for any of them. Rwanda seems to be the only good thing with the Central African Republic, so it seems like it's a legit election that they're defending over there. And since it's a legit election, the people that are fleeing would be a bunch of your Donald Trump MAGA psycho supporters, your supporters of a fucking dictator. And so that means Central African Republic is sending a lot of the crap. So, yeah, Paul Biya's government troops are there patrolling the situation. So don't worry, Cameroon. Paul Biya's got your back. He's going to make sure there's 5,000 Central African refugees, the supporters of a dictator, which is, why not just say, I don't support the dictator anymore. But, there you go. Cameroon has to do with 5,000 refugees from the Central African Republic, and that's just some shit that other people in the world have to deal with, okay? America, you got, Mexicans, so you can understand, right? So the Central African Republic are the Mexicans coming into Cameroon. So there should be a pathway to citizenship. There should be, divide the criminals from the non-criminals. Anybody, all women, children, and the elderly, take them in and, thoroughly vet, double vet, triple vet them in. That sounds reasonable to me. And so the peaceful ones accept them because they need a place to go, and the violent ones tell them they're not welcome here. So there you go. A little update on Cameroon for you.